Down the aisle. How often do you do that? Uh-oh, here we go. Woohoo! Aloha! There you go. Oh, what happened there?
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining Japanese Politics One-on-One with Timothy Langley, who today is reporting from Hawaii. We are going to talk about, as always, about the Japanese yen, the Japanese economy, and the politics, what is going on in the political world here in Japan. And Timothy is going to touch upon economic signals like tariffs, the trade, machinery, production data, also domestic political maneuvering, because there is a lot going on below the surface. And of course, we're going to talk about Prime Minister Ishiba and regional and defense developments, plus a couple of other points. But Timothy, I am going to push it over to you. Can you hear me?
So, Maya, I have a lag of about 8 seconds by the time you
Okay.
finish talking. I can hear you, but there's a lag. The video is going,
Mm-hmm.
and then I catch up to you. So maybe I should just unplug my earphones, and just give the briefing.
Well, let's try it this way, and if it doesn't work, maybe unplug then.
Okay, let's try it like this. So, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes? Are you expecting to hear people saying good morning to you?
No, I'm just hearing the echo. So let me try again.
All right.
This is maddening. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, and thank you for joining us every week. This is our 237th episode, and wherever you might be tuning in today, I'm reporting.
Timothy, I cannot hear you. Nobody can hear you now. No? Please try again. All right, so while you're doing the wiring, let me tell everybody that today Timothy is reporting from Hawaii because this is his daughter's wedding day, and he decided to keep the tradition of airing these briefings every Sunday morning at 8:20. So to everybody who is with us, thank you very much for joining. Timothy, how is this now? Can you hear me? Better? All right? Can you hear me?
Okay, try it again. Let me go. Yeah.
Okay, please try it again because
Time is
I
going.
guess, well, I think that there is a lag there.
Here we go. Good morning, tuning in from wherever you are. Today I'm speaking to you from Hilo on the big island of Hawaii. And as many of you know, maybe Maya has already told you, this weekend is a deeply personal one for me because my daughter's wedding is taking place right here in just a few hours. I'll be walking her down the aisle. Always, no matter where I am in the world, we wanted to take this moment to honor our tradition and bring to you the latest in Japanese politics. Today, as I said, it marks the 237th weekly episode, nearly 4.7 years without interruption. And I'm really very grateful and humbled to share this hands with you. So let's dive in. These are the top points I'm going to talk about. Then I'm going to turn it back over to Maya, and we'll get jumbled up again, then pick up later. So the yen-dollar exchange rate volatility will be a topic of conversation with us, and why Friday's close at 146.87 to the dollar reflects both treasury and domestic uncertainty. Prime Minister Ishiba's diplomatic whirlwind from TCAD in Yokohama to key bilateral meetings and what's on the horizon for next week. We're going to discuss that. Domestic political maneuvering, there's a lot going on there, even though it is the end of it. In fact, this is the last weekend. Well, we have one more Sunday in August, and then we're into September. Domestic political maneuvering is going on at a feverish pace. Even if you're following just a little bit, you know the Eisenhower Commission's probe into the LDP leadership and the Morikawa report on who's to blame for the failures in the upper coalition and coalition building scenarios. That's where I'm going to talk about later in the briefing. Economic signals on tariff, trade, machinery production, which is looking pretty good, and the impact of the summer heat is not too good, and record-breaking temperatures on fisheries and agriculture, which you're in Tokyo, you have felt, or anywhere in Japan, you've felt this. And finally, regional defense developments, there's a lot going on there. China and Russia are also having maritime joint exercises, I think the second time, where they've been doing that. And Japan's military posture begins to grow and kind of take shape. The United States seems to be distancing itself from supporting Japan as it did in the past. It's trying to develop its own kind of legs on defense development and also armaments. And North Korea has issued a couple of provocations that are interesting to look at. And there's a broader Indo-Pacific landscape which has been highlighted by a couple of announcements this week. So with all this, I'd like to turn that over to Maya, have a couple of words from her, and then hit the individual points individually. Maya?
Okay, thank you, Timothy. Could you please stand closer to your computer? Hopefully, I know that you have a microphone, but the sound seems to be a kind of quiet today. So thank you for that. And to everybody watching us again, thank you very much for this. Well, once again, Timothy is reporting today from Hawaii because this is his daughter's. Everybody watching us. Right, yes. So, and we are experiencing some coverage, some technical issues at the moment. Hopefully they will disappear. And with this, of course, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do subscribe. Please let us know that you have been with us this morning. And well, you can hit like, subscribe, you can hit follow if you are on LinkedIn, and leave your thoughts and comments there. Thank you very much indeed. And Timothy, once again, to you. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, the sound is very quiet.
It's very.
Yes. So Frederick tells us sound goes in and out like a slow wave a bit. Great view of the ocean, though. Yes.
The reason for the Wi-Fi is a little bit with wedding and on the hillside, and so I'm struggling with the Wi-Fi. I'm just going to bore through this, so I apologize for the volatility. But let me get on to it with that apology behind us. The yen, as I mentioned earlier, closed Friday at 146.87 to the dollar, continuing a pattern of volatility that defined the summer. Tokyo traders noted CPI numbers earlier in the week and the dovish signals from the Federal Reserve. While at home, the Bank of Japan remains under heavy scrutiny ahead of its next policy meeting scheduled for September 19th and 20th. They have a BOJ meeting, and they're having it right in the middle of the month next. So, I mean, there's a lot of pent-up demand for those pronouncements. Markets expect no immediate hike, but rising pressure on the BOJ to gradually tighten its ultra-loose policy is undeniable. Complicating this picture are remarks from U.S. Secretary Scott Bessent, who you might have heard about. He bluntly argued that Japan remains behind the curve in controlling inflation. Get behind the ball, folks. So his comments sparked debate in Tokyo, and although Finance Minister Kato and others stressed Bank of Japan independence, like no matter how much you yell at us, they're independent from us, they are kind of watching this very carefully and looking forward. This interplay between U.S. bond yields, energy import costs, and export performance will be the deciding facts in determining whether the yen stabilizes or yen slides to its symbolic 150 mark. We're going to keep on top of that. With regard to the prime minister and his diplomatic agenda, this was just an incredibly busy week. You've got a TCAT 9 that was going on this week. It went on until today. Actually, today is also so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Prime minister's been at the center of this intense diplomatic calendar, and this past week was dominated by TCAT, hosted in Yokohama. And it brings together delegations from 46 African nations and the African Union. This is incredible. Over 300 cooperative agreements were announced, covering everything from infrastructure to climate action. Ishiba's keynote emphasized Japan's ambition to enter an Indian Ocean Africa economic zone backed by ODA logistics projects and investment guarantees. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres also joined the summit, reinforcing its global importance. As we said before, this is all kind of working towards some kind of action against BRICS initiative. Looking ahead, the Prime Minister is preparing for visits from South Korean President Lee Jae-myung tomorrow and the following day, and followed by the Indian Prime Minister Modi visiting on Thursday and Friday. That's big. Modi is expected to not only hold bilateral talks, but also visit an expo in Osaka, underscoring the symbolic and economic importance of the event, was stressed repeatedly there. These visits follow intensive work by trade envoy Rohei Akasaka, who repeated his repeated missions to Washington, D.C. have now pretty much concluded because the deal is done. There's a little back and forth that still needs to be done. He is believed to have secured assurances that Japan's automobile sector will not be further penalized under the Trump tariffs, although the timing of tariff reduction remains somewhat opaque. Meanwhile, the foreign minister has stayed in Tokyo all this week, as you can expect. He's been meeting with senior envoys ahead of next week's General Assembly preparatory session. Minister has traveled to Turkey and a couple of other nations. He visited Djibouti as well. He's following drone and missile technology in Turkey. So Japan and Turkey are at some deals that are there. This ties directly into Japan's own procurement reforms and the push for NATO-Japan collaboration, which we'll talk about. Mr. Nakatani's trip also illustrates Japan's balancing act, strengthening bilateral defense links beyond the U.S. alliance while contributing to the global arms supply chain. This is a big deal, and we continue to follow it with some concern. With regard to domestic politics, my gosh, so much going on. Prime Minister Ishiba continues to navigate the treacherous political waters. The Aizawa Commission, chaired by Ichiba Aizawa, conveyed its first full session in both the members and all 47 prefectural party captains. The mandate is to gauge whether there is sufficient appetite to trigger a new NDP leadership election following the party's poor showing in upper house elections. Not only that, but also displeasure with Mr. Ishiba in general in certain quarters. A citizen has emerged on whether the individual voting records will be disclosed, which means they vote for have an election and maybe put the prime minister on the block once again. If you vote for that, you're definitely on the outs with the prime minister. Should he win again, that could discourage a rebellion against Mr. Ishiba for one thing, but it puts members at risk of exposure and reprisal. The commission's preliminary findings suggest the hope those seeking to oust him, particularly as members expected cabinet, gives him the chance to reward allies and include coalition partners, which is something that we anticipate. Meanwhile, the Morikawa report, you remember that Mr. Morikawa is the Secretary of the NDP, and he has issued a report on what's happened, why we didn't do so well in the lower house is, and what we're going to do. It's been somewhat circulated, not public, fully public, and not concluded. It's not going to be finished until early September. They keep pushing that back because they want this game to play and extend the potential onslaught for the prime minister's position. So the responsibility for the electoral seat largely maybe campaign strategy and organizational failures, but certainly not the prime minister. Is the drift of what we get. And many view this as simply an excuse to buy time, providing distance setback and the party's next decisive moves. That's what we expect as well. Opposition parties remain divided. They're not supporting the Constitutional Democratic Party. Strangely enough, has quietly softened its tone toward the government. And the coalition parties remain they're joining, Ishin uh, and the Democratic Party of the People. And in contrast, Ishinokai has sharpened its bargaining position with Governor Yoshimura demanding formal recognition of Osaka as Japan's secondary capital as a price for cooperation. It doesn't sound like a huge deal, maybe we can give it, and it doesn't anchor anything. But for Osaka, it's a big deal. Should something happen to the capital, rather than moving to Tsukuba, for example, the decision would be to invariably go to Osaka as well, thereby heightening Osaka, the national um, uh, discussion. And the Democratic Party of people has signaled responsibility. We like you guys. We want to continue to work with you, but we want to insist on certain policy concessions, maybe a couple of cabinet positions, maybe prime ministership. I know that discussion has kind of gone by the wayside. So it's really starting to come down to the wire. With regard to the economy, Japan's economy offers mixed results. Machinery orders rose 3% in June, exceeding forecasts and giving some confidence in industrial recovery. Yet trade has slowed under the weight of the new tariffs and a little bit of trepidation there, particularly U.S. duties on auto and on metals. Energy imports, lowering volume remain a strain due to elevated global oil prices. That should change pretty soon. On the brighter side, foreign tourism continues to obviously now, and visitor numbers continue approaching record levels at key destinations. Heat wave often had devastating effects. Reports from Chiba, where I spend a lot of time on my boat, and other coastal prefectures confirm mass fish die-offs, and they're linked to depleted oxygen levels from overheated waters. Farmers across Honshu cross crop stress, while urban centers struggle with power demand peaks. Although Japan has thus far avoided any catastrophic flooding as in previous years, the risk of late-season typhoons is large, and the deaths from overheat and heat stress has actually increased remarkably. As for the expo in Osaka, organizers dominant attendance lags behind productive projections. With just under 250 days left, the pressure is the main train line that had um, uh, crashed 2 weeks ago, 30,000 overnight, and it's further than infrastructure preparedness. In regional defense developments, there's been a lot going on there. Defense remains in center. Japan's Ministry of Defense is preparing a record 8.8 trillion budget request for 2026. That budget request goes to the Diet this year. They have a Diet session, and then from January, February, and March, they shoot the numbers, and they're supposed to pass the budget by April 1st. So that the requests for budget have been collected. They're being submitted now, and they'll be submitted in September and October. It needs to be finalized, but that's going in line with promise defense. North Korea leader Kim Jong-un recently praised commanders returning from the Kursk front in Russia's war on Ukraine, and he vowed recognition for those deployed. Like this worked out somewhat for North Korea, gaining expertise and experience. I don't think that North Korea did terribly well. It is an example of how Russia and North Korea can work together, and so it looks like something that they might be expanding upon. Domestically, North Korea is preparing a constitutional amendment labeling South Korea as the primary hostile state. That's a huge one. They used to be brothers. So the joint Russian and Chinese naval maneuvers continue to be provocative in the East China Sea, although they're shadowed by U.S. and Japanese patrols. And regionally, the prime ministers from India, his upcoming visit will bring an updated Japan-India security declaration, we expect. TCAD also showcased Japan's ambitions to shape African markets, but the larger picture is Japan's expanding defense industrial reach. We talk about this all the time, including exports of naval vessels to Southeast Asia and this huge sale that they had to Australia just this last month. Defense Minister Nakatane's Turkey visit reinforced this, dovetailing with NATO cooperation and Japan's role in diversifying arms supply chains away from China. So August is ending. We've got one more week. Our broadcast next week will be on the last day of August. Then we move into September. So it's with some celebration and some turbulence. Obon is behind us, but politics have returned in full speed, although it's somewhat under the surface right now. Prime Minister Ishiba is likely to remain in office for the foreseeable future as opposition parties lack cohesion. LDP remains hesitant to trigger a full leadership contest. The economy continues to struggle under tariffs, heat and the demographic challenges, while defense and regional tensions continue to escalate. Although there is tempering there, September will be a defining month. Multiple diet sessions, the new cabinet lineup, I suspect a critical interest will set Japan's course for 2026. So for now, I'd like to turn it back over to Maya. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us for episode 237 in our conversation on politics. This is Timothy Langley, reporting from Hilo, Hawaii. With that, Maya, I'll turn it back over to you, and I hope our technology works for us.
Thank you, Timothy. I think that quite a lot of the words actually got, lost. Yes, they dropped somehow. And to everybody who is watching us, we apologize for this. Thank you very much for tuning in. And as Frederick wrote, we are going to see the whole report as text as well. So please do not give up on us. Of course, we'll be here once again. And yes, as you have noticed, the beautiful view behind Timothy today is not from Chiba, it is from Hawaii. And he is there because this is a very special day for him, his family, especially for his daughter, who is getting married there today. And, well, we are experiencing some technical difficulties when it comes to the sound. We apologize for this. But, well, we'll do whatever possible. And, of course, once again, this briefing will be delivered to you. If you have subscribed, of course, for the newsletter, it will be delivered to you by email straight into your email inbox. So now I'll start again with two questions from, you guess from whom actually, that is from...
Mr. Broker.
Yes, and okay, let me go there. Of course, if you have other questions listening now, you can share them with us on LinkedIn or on YouTube, and I'm going to feed them to Timothy as well. So just give me a second here. I'm getting to the questions down there. All right, Timothy, now.
I'm sorry, Maya. I didn't quite catch. I've got two voices that are coming into my headset.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right. So here are the questions from Byron. The first one is, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent keeps claiming that Japan will contribute $550 billion to a U.S. sovereign wealth fund for investments in the U.S. as directed by President Trump. If this is true, from which account would such a huge amount be drawn? From GPIF, the massive government pension fund, or foreign reserves of Japan, or other? What are your thoughts on this question? Your answer, if you have one.
I'm getting a lot of interference. I understood most of the questions. Wow, that is a tough one. The president and Secretary of the Treasury said the number announced of money coming in of the president. That's a big deal. That is a very bold statement. I don't think Mr. Ishiba had that in mind for his trade negotiations. trade negotiations. In ter- and the numbers that were being presented, it's over a 10-year period. And the trajectory is of 10 years, it's going to still reach a certain number, and the negotiation will push it up a little bit. So why don't we make it 5 billion? Let's make it five. Um, so that that's how the numbers are. Still a little bit open to interpretation. Um, but it's really
Okay, so thank you for that. There is one more question, actually, and a final one. Timothy, today let's go with the questions from Byron, and then we can address other questions next time when the connection is better. So here is the second question. Can you hear me, by the way, again? No?
yeah. Number one, I couldn't quite catch the question because I've got interference in the sound through my earphones, but also the sovereign wealth fund and Japan is going to, that's beyond my specialization.
All right, yes, I understand that, and I'm sure that Byron understands that as well. So thank you for that. Then I will skip the second question. We'll keep it for next time and just ask the third one because it is relevant to where you are at the moment. The third question is: since you are back in the U.S. of America, might it be easier to procure some brew cream?
So thank you very much. Yes, I should. I went shopping, pick up some things for the wedding party yesterday. It was just amazed at the American supermarket, how large it is, how many items, the variety of items, the color, the people who are shopping, the big shopping carts. Oh, it was just like going to Disneyland. I couldn't relate very much, even though I'm from America. Most of my time.
Right. Okay, so, well, to everybody who has tuned in today, thank you so very much indeed for being with us on this special day for Timothy, his daughter, his entire family. It is a pleasure to have you with us, but please do allow us to continue with this briefing and the questions and comments you might have about today's topics. Next time when Timothy will be here in Japan and the connection will be better. So it turns out that, well, the distance between Japan and Hawaii is quite long, and it is not very helpful when we try to live stream from there. But Timothy, thank you so much for this briefing. I know that yes, you prepared and you spent time for on being with us, with everybody here, so that we can keep everybody informed. And I appreciate this very much. I'm sure that everybody else does as well. And of course, enjoy the wedding, enjoy taking or walking your daughter down the aisle today. It's going to be a great moment for everybody, a great day for everybody. And of course, take a lot of pictures so that maybe you can share some of them with us too. Everybody loves weddings, and when it is the wedding of somebody who has been with us for such a long time, it's even better. So thank you very much indeed. And to everybody, stay well. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We apologize for the technical difficulties for the sound. And well, let's say congratulations to Timothy and his daughter. Congratulations, Timothy.
Thank you very much, Maya. Thanks, everybody. Sorry for the snafu. We'll get back to you next week when I'll be in Tokyo on Sunday.
On Sunday, 8:20 once again.
I
Sharp.
remember that.
Thanks
Okay,
a lot.
thanks.